It's the Al Travis Show, and we've got him, our farmer extraordinaire, Jerry Grosskreis. 4 generations on the farm. He's been there 45 years. How you doing, my boy?
I'm doing really well, and I'm happy to report that I did get quite a bit of corn hauled in the last week, and because I'm older and wiser, I'm taking a break during this really cold weather.
Yeah. Well, you got lots going on, too. But let me ask you this. 4 generations, 45 years. The Morning Ag Clip is asking, applications for are now opened for the Minnesota Farm Bureau's sesquicentennial farm program, honoring people with 150 years on the farm. Have you and your 4 generations got to 150?
Well, the farm that my dad grew up on was a centennial farm a long time ago. The farm that I grew up on, my dad and grandpa purchased about the year I was born, and that was in 1955. So we have a ways to go yet. But it's really cool. We always recognize at some of the county fairs the centennial farms and the centennial farms. And it's just mind-boggling to think about this family has owned this land for at least 150 years.
That's crazy.
That goes through the Great Depression. Think of all the good times, but the really bad times.
Oh, yeah.
And families that have gotten married, and maybe the spouse says, boy, that's a lot of money there. We should do. But they were attached to that land, and they hung on to that land. And that's pretty cool.
No, 150 years, that's almost the entire time Minnesota's been around. So, I mean, it is really cool that something like that happens. And then think about it, Jerry. Just think about how farming has changed in your 45 years, right? Now, what was your first John Deere you ever owned? You probably still own it. That's who you are, but.
You know me too well, Al. It was a 58 John Deere 820. It was a big 2-cylinder, about 80 horsepower coming out of 2 cylinders.
Wow, baby. That thing had some giddy up. So do you still own it?
Absolutely.
Is it restored, or is it just all crap out in the backyard they're waiting to disintegrate?
Oh, no. It's sitting in the shed out at the farm. And when I started in farm broadcasting 30 years ago, I just got it restored. So I hauled that 9,000-pound tractor around to all the parades, and it was kind of fun.
Let me ask you this. Can you take an old one like that into the John Deere dealer and have them just fix it, write the check? I'm sure it's expensive, and write a check and have it redone. Do you know a guy? Has Jerry got John Deere paint, yellow and green, and you did it yourself? How does the general restoration of these things go?
For a lot of the tractors, you can still go and get parts. Now, for some of the 2 cylinders, it might be a little bit harder, but it's incredible. I've talked to some farmers that have restored tractors, and it's they're a little bit like Al Travis. They know somebody who knows somebody.
That's the easier way, yes. Yeah, okay.
And they're able to get parts and find parts, and even some are still manufactured through the short line. It's a whole network. And granted, I might be a little bit green and yellow, but I will grant you there's beauty in all old restored tractors.
Well, let me ask you this, and again, I don't know you. Is it more than sentimental value just for yourself? Because there are a lot less farmers than there used to be, right? I mean, the farming has gotten more corporate. Is there money in an old tractor redone? I mean, if you had a Corvette, a 65 Vet convertible, it's going to be worth some ching. Is it the same in the farm community with an old tractor?
They're worth a lot more than they were when they were brand new, but it seems to me my dad and my uncle, I remember, bought that 820. It was about 2 or 3 years old, and I was so disappointed because John Deere had come out with the 10 series, the 2010, the 3010, the 4010. But they bought this instead, and it seems to me they paid about $2,500 for it. I think fully restored now, I could probably get $10,000-12,000 for it. Yeah. But Al, you'd have to pay a whole lot more than that because I'm kind of attached to the old girl. Now, granted, it's fun to take it out and drive it in a parade. I sure wouldn't want to take it out in the field and start working with it again.
Well, that's yeah. So can I ask, maybe you've got it locked up in a secret place you don't want to know, is this just sitting in a barn, one of your barns, you can see it once in a while, you get it out for a parade? Is this under lock and key? Is it under a blanket somewhere? How do you treat your...
It's under a blanket sitting in the shed.
Okay.
And it's been about a year and a half since I had the old girl running. So that's a project early this spring to get the old girl running again. And interesting, I started taking this in the praise 30 years ago, just when the Minnesota soybean growers was trying to get the biodiesel market developed and get the B2 mandate passed. And I hooked up with the soybean growers, and I ran that tractor on 100% soybean-based biodiesel to all the parades. All I did is drain out the diesel fuel and put in the biodiesel. And there's an old saying now, what goes around comes around. But Rudolph Diesel, when he invented the diesel engine, there was no diesel fuel. It was peanut oil that first diesel engine ran off of, which is identical to the soybean oil that my old girl ran on just fine.
Have you tried emptying it out and putting a big old thing of Planters peanut oil in there and see if she'd run?
She probably
I don't know what that could do to that. I don't know what that do to the innards of everybody, but that can't be good. We got to go to break, Jerry. When we come back, I'm going to ask you, there's some news this week about all the stuff going on in the state with ICE and the rest. And a couple of folks, I'm pretty sure it was Senator Kupek and Senator Putnam and some others, got together. They're on the Ag Committee in Minnesota, and they were discussing how all that is affecting the farmers in Minnesota. I'd like to get you a first-hand look at that if we can right after this. He's our farmer guy. He's Jerry Grosskreis. More right after this on the Al Travis Show. It is the Al Travis Show. We've got him, Jerry Grosskreis, in talking all things farming with us. I just know that the farm committee got together. They had a meeting of some sort. I know Kupek was there, Senator Kupek and Senator Putnam, talking about how the things going on in the state of Minnesota now are affecting farmers. Have you noticed much? I mean, you're out here, you have a nice week. You're just trying to get the grain to the elevator. Maybe you'll think more about it now when it's freezing cold and you can't go outside. Is it affecting the farming in outstate Minnesota?
I will find out a little bit more about that here in a couple of weeks when I'm at Pork Congress, the annual meeting of the Minnesota pork producers, because pork producers have a lot of employees, and I think they have to be really careful about making sure that they are legally here, but you would have to think that it is affecting someone. The really tough part about being a farmer, if I've got employees, when the bell rings this spring and it's time to get field work done, we have to get it done. It's time sensitive. Yeah. If you're taking care of livestock, you don't have a whole lot of extra people. So if all at once somebody's sick or somebody isn't there to cover for it. And I live in the southern metro in Lakeville, and I know of some restaurants that have had issues. They've had to close or they've had to go to just takeout because, quote, some of their employees were afraid to come to work.
Sure.
Now, maybe they're here illegally. Maybe they aren't. I don't know. I just, this whole thing makes me so sad. Why can't we get together, sit down, and figure out something so
completely
that we don't have to go through this?
Yeah, this is a little on the cray-cray side. I completely agree with you. Okay, let me know in a couple of weeks. Last story before we talk about where you're heading today. The January USDA report came out. Evidently, it's considered the most influential, this is according to AgWeb, the most influential data releases of the year, delivered unexpected increases in corn yield. U.S. corn was above 17 billion bushels, sending the futures slightly lower, sharply lower. How in the world in January are you getting numbers telling us what was pulled out of the field, and most of it in October? What are we talking about? How late? How long does this take?
A lot of us are still scratching our heads wondering how the USDA got from here to there. And one of their explanations was because our cattle inventory is way down. We were talking about that, the high price of beef. So then they found more harvested acres because cattlemen produce less or chop less acres for corn silage and harvest it instead. But boy, a lot of us are still scratching our head over the incredible all-time record yield when we heard so much about soybean rust and some other diseases. It just really makes us wonder. The market will tell us if the USDA was right or if farmers are right questioning it. And I like to say it will come out in the real world. Because if we don't have as much corn out there as the USDA said we did, guess what? Driving over to Mankato today, I drove by a great big ethanol plant. I know of a number of shuttle loading elevators that load grain onto rail cars to be shipped to livestock markets. There are a number of feed mills around, and it's not just here, it's all across the Midwest. If there isn't as much corn as the USA said there is, guess what happens? All of these entities that need corn start bidding up the price of corn in the cash market, and so the basis will, between the futures and the cash, will narrow or maybe go positive. But the problem is we have bills to pay right now, and we have corn that we have to move right now. And by the time we get the rally in the cash market, maybe we've already had to sell the whole crop.
Explain it to me quickly if you can. How does it all get reported? Jerry goes out, takes his acres, he gets it put in. Do you have to tell somebody at the FDA that, hey, I got X number of bushels harvested this? You have to tell them that, or are they just guesstimates? How does they actually get the number?
Number one, virtually all the farmers are signed up into the farm program. The 5-year farm bill that's been extended for 2 years now. Yeah. So after we get done planning, we go to our local FSA office, and they have all of our maps. We have to certify the acres that were planted. We also have to do that because we have crop insurance. Okay. And once we harvest the crop, we report our yields and our proven yields to our crop insurance agent, but we also give a copy of that to local FSA offices. So they have a very hard record of how much was produced, how many acres were planted, and then the USDA comes up with a whole lot more acres. And I've seen data to 95% of all the acres that are planted, farmers are in the Farm Bill. So I don't quite see where the discrepancy comes in.
Well, you look at Jerry Lewis back in the day. He could take money pledged from all over the place, from some kid's lemonade stand up to some huge company dropping off a massive check, and by the end of the day, know exactly how much money was given. But you tell me, with all you guys are reporting in October what you got, they come out in January and say, oh, by the way, this is what it was? That's crazy.
Well,
they don't have computers?
We don't report in October because I still haven't officially reported my corn yields because I filed for an extension. So I want it all hauled in. It's all across the scale. I've got all of the truck tickets. Okay. And you can estimate how much is in the bin or how much, and then take how much you hauled into the elevator if you did in the fall. But there was 1 year where the weight was off in my little 4,000 bushel bin by a couple hundred bushel, and that was $2,000 that I didn't get paid that I was entitled to. Because so now I just file an extension, I get it all hauled in. I want every dollar that the crop insurance company owes me, but I don't want $1 more than what they owe me. So some of it hasn't worked through the whole system yet. So maybe that's part of the discrepancy too.
Right. That's fair enough. Now we're going to get to hear this interview with you the day after where you're going now. Tell us about the corn show that you're going to see, or the bean show, or what are you going to in Mankato?
The Minnesota Ag Expo, the annual meeting of the Minnesota corn growers and the Minnesota soybean growers in downtown Mankato at the Mayo Clinic Health Event Center, right there in downtown Mankato. And because I raise corn, if you raise corn and soybeans, you pay into the checkoff, and so it's free for farmers to attend. And then there's the ice hockey arena is full of exhibitors in addition to the other big exhibit areas. So it's the biggest show that they've ever had.
All right, and we'll discuss that again next week, and I'll talk about it after I get back because I'm going to the thing because you made me. Very excited about it. It's Jerry Grosskreutz, our farmer extraordinaire on the Al Travis Show. More right after this.